Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Want to talk about Kamala, the elephant that died 4 days before the selection, and what a sick joke it is. And also want to recap what happened in the time of the Grover Cleveland presidency. It was the destruction of the economy, which strengthened the Republican Party, which is very interesting because, of course, Donald Trump is a lifelong Democrat who joined the Republican Party around the time of Obama, the same Obama who joked that Trump would become number 45 on the 45th birthday of the Church of Satan at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, April 30th, 2011, with Trump in attendance. Of course, the highest degree of the Church of Satan's mega. And right now, the house of cards, like it says in the chat, the stock market's just flying upwards. But why? And again, it is a house of cards. It's all a show. The same people who rig your selections have the market rigged. And sometimes things are lifted just so they can crash all the harder. Again, we'll go revisit the Ingersoll Lockwood book, The Last President. I noticed that Google took down my old post on this. My old blog, which is now owned by Google because they bought Blogspot, they've deleted, I don't even know how many posts, probably thousands of posts from my old site, which when I was finished had nearly 40,000 posts. Now it's got like 35,000. But I couldn't find my old Ingersoll Lockwood posts, so apparently those have been taken down. Anyhow, anyone can still look into these books seemingly about the character Donald Trump that were written, over 100 years before he became the selection in 2016. And again, we're going to revisit this Manchurian candidate thing with Trump because I had to rush through it last night. And again, we'll recap a few things just because we have to be redundant so things stick. But let's start right here with the death of the elephant Kamala at the Washington, D.C. Smithsonian Zoo. The ritual here is just undeniable. And of course, the elephant is the GOP logo, and it became that 150 years ago. We'll get to why that matters. But Kamala the elephant dies Friday, November 1st. 4 days before the selection. Of course, 4 is a number associated with death. And notice the headline here, bad omen. It was a bad omen for Kamala. Notice how in Gematria, the Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words, elephant equates to 135 like bad omen. Want to guess how old the zoo is where Kamala died? If you guessed 135, you're a winner. This elephant died at a 135-year-old zoo. And again, if you're new here, this practice of coding numbers into words, it's very simple. It's the alphabetic order forwards, it's the alphabetic order in reverse, and it's both orders with numerology. There's 4 base ciphers of the English language. We're going to get to how the man who designed the elephant for the GOP back in 1874, how he was a German, and he came up in the Bavaria area where the Illuminati was founded. Again, remember, the Illuminati was founded May 1st, 1776, right before the American Revolution began. But notice, when you run the alphabetic order forwards, bad omens 54, like Bavaria. When you run it in reverse, it's 135. And we might end up seeing Kamala be the president of the United States for 54 days before it's all said and done. Based on what we talked about last night, if Joe's going to depart on November 27th. But yes, the zoo where the elephant died here in D.C., we won't even talk about it opening May 6th. I mean, that's a whole nother thing. Washington, D.C., of course, equals 56, like Society of Jesus, like Jesuit orders 54, Society of Jesus 56. They're the same thing. And again, the Illuminati was founded by the Jesuit or the member of the Society of Jesus, Adam Weishaupt. But the point for now is the zoo is 135 years old. It should remind you of the CIA, which has the 135 connection, which was created in a major Jesuit/Illuminati ritual on September 18th, 1947. As we've talked about so many times, the anniversary of George Washington laying the cornerstone for DC. In 2020, it was the day that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died on Rosh Hashanah, who was replaced by the Catholic Amy Coney Barrett. The Jew dies on Rosh Hashanah, replaced by the Catholic. Mind you, it should remind you that the Jesuits are a Catholic-Jewish alliance. The Supreme Court's pretty much all Catholic now, all Catholic and Jesuit educated. Again, the Illuminati, founded by a Jesuit. The Jesuits served the Catholic Church. But yes, again, the logos for the parties, the elephant for the GOP and the donkey for the Democrats were created by this German Thomas Nast in 1874, 150 years ago. Illuminati has that gematria of 150, which makes a lot of sense because they say the sun's 150 million kilometers away, and that's what illuminates the world. Don't forget, in the century of the Jesuits, the 16th century, the heliocentric model was agreed to. Heliocentrism also equates to 150. Jesuits and Illuminati, one and the same. The man who designed the elephant and the donkey, Thomas Nast, father of the American cartoon. Look at what day he died. Died on that infamous day of December 7th. That's the day the first state was founded, Delaware. Of course, it's Pearl Harbor Day. It's got a number sequence 1, 2, 7 that we talk about a lot, like, buildings 1, 2, and 7 falling in New York City and then calling it the new Pearl Harbor. Kamikaze pilots at Pearl Harbor and on 9/11, at least so the story goes. A lot of people say both were really inside jobs, but anyhow, December 7th, 127, father of the American cartoon, what he's known as, 127, just like Bavarian Illuminati, 127. And Thomas Nast, here's where he fits in with Trump in this joke. From Trump's birthday to the elephant dying Friday, November 1st, was 140 days. Thomas Nast equates to 140, like Washington. They say that elephant was estimated to be 50 years old. Of course, Donald equals 50, like America, the land of 50 states and several territories. Washington also has the gematria of 50, as does Satanic. And remember, around 2000, the GOP changed their logo, and the publication Mother Jones called them out around the same time and said, whoa, they made their logo satanic. They changed the stars on the elephant to downward pointing pentagrams, which is a satanic symbol. And if you think this stuff's a coincidence, again, then you have to accept that it's also a coincidence that MAGA is the highest degree of the Church of Satan. And Obama did joke at the White House Correspondents' Dinner on the 45th birthday of the Church of Satan that Trump would become number 45, again, 45 days before his birthday. And we'll even go back and watch that in this stream just to make the point. But with regards to this joke being on Kamala, don't forget that she's from San Francisco, which also equals 50, and that's where the Church of Satan was created on April 30th, 2011. Don't forget, Satanic and San Francisco also both equate to 122, and San Francisco's on the 122nd meridian. It's kind of like how abortion equals 122 and 50, and Roe versus Wade was overturned in its 50th year of the decision, or since the decision, and it was decided on January 22nd, 122, 122 days after Jane Roe's September 22nd birthday. I mean, at the end of the day, what is it to kill babies? And again, I don't want to say that all women who get abortions are satanic or evil, but just the fact that it's something that's pushed in society by our leaders that are an evil death cult, you can see where their intentions are evil. And they do force it more on Black communities that they've purposely destroyed with federal policies. And just like how they had to give you the first token Black Supreme Court Justice woman, Ketanji Brown Jackson, at the same time as the Dobbs-Jackson decision overturning Roe versus Wade. I mean, they literally happened right at the same time. Just complete obvious mockery. And people don't even catch on. It's just amazing. It is. It's just amazing. But yeah, we haven't even gotten to the kicker yet. From Kamala's birthday to the elephant Kamala dying was 12 days, and Kamala equals 12. We talked about the ritual week 1 of the NFL season, gave it out for free, why the Niners should win by 12 or more to beat the Jets in Monday Night Football, to make home teams 11-5 for the week. That week, it was that was when the hype for Kamala was up. Kamala's team and Tim Walz's team beat the two New York teams. Home teams won 11-5 for the week, like the election was 11-5. The Niners picked up their 12th win versus the Jets all time. and they ended up winning by 13. But 12 plus was a nice payout. Again, knowing the knowledge, knowing how the whole thing's rigged. And remember, they became plus 123 all time in points scored in the differential. The 49ers versus the Jets. Kamala is also 123. Like how the torch was passed to her 123 days after Willie Brown's birthday. Again, she started in the San Francisco political scene where the Church of Satan was founded. But yeah, Kamala the elephant died 12 days after her birthday. Don't forget, when Umega beat Kamala, spelled the same way, pronounced differently, the same wrestler who died 2 days before she became the VP nominee, don't forget that Umega beating Kamala, that fight was 12 days after Trump's 60th birthday. And this was the 60th election. And if you add 1 through 12 together, it equals 78. Like Trump's 78 years old, like there's 78 cards in the tarot deck, and the top cards are Trump cards. Not to mention Cleveland equals 78. And he's the nation's second Grover Cleveland. Now notice, elephant also equates to 81. Just like President Trump equals 81, like President Biden equals 81, like ritual equals 81 forwards and backwards. And of course, we've seen in recent years, we saw Obama endorse 81 candidates on August 1st. Then Biden won the election with a record 81 million votes. And then Biden passed the torch to Kamala, and she raised a record 81 million in 24 hours. Again, all of this stuff is contrived ritual. And it's just sad at this point that more people don't know about it. I mean, this is just so blatant and obvious. And it's reminding these people sacrifice people and they sacrifice animals. We've been seeing this kind of stuff for a long time now. What they did with the Washington Commanders and Joe Biden's dog Commander. I mean, come on. That was last year. Or God, was it 2 years ago already? The way the time flies. But we definitely covered that in the past as well. And I noticed that the Smithsonian was created by Congress. I love it. To increase and diffusion of knowledge. Dedicated to the increase and diffusion of knowledge. Yeah. Huh. It reminds me, I saw Ralph Nader speak in person many a times, and every time that I saw him speak in person as an old man, he said, you know, he feels bad that he helped create all these government agencies that are now just wolves guarding the hen's nest. You know, Ralph Nader, you know, the older, the wiser, he regretted helping build up government to a bigger thing because he said, look, all these things that I helped create, they're now full of evil people that do just the opposite. So here's what they do at the Smithsonian Zoo, where once the Smithsonian was created with taxpayer dollars with the dedication to increase and diffuse knowledge. Okay. Now they're killing elephants in 2024. You know what else I realized? It's 178 years later, and Kabbalah equals 178, which sounds a lot like Kamala. And I'm not sure if they pronounce this elephant's name Kamala or Kamala. You know, same spelling for the wrestler who went with Kamala. She goes with Kamala, but Kamala does sound like Kabbalah. Kabbalah is where this whole thing of letters and numbers and dates comes from. But yes, it was around 2000 that the GOP changed their stars. Their stars used to look just like the donkeys, upwards pointing stars. They changed them to downwards pointing stars. Again, that downwards pointing pentagram is a satanic symbol. That was right before we got George W. Bush, the second Bush, member of Skull and Bones, another death cult. And that was right after Paul Walker's The Skulls came out about Skull and Bones, where he finds out once you're in the fraternity, it gets deadly. But yeah, Trump, Mr. Mega, hierarchy in the Church of Satan, right from their own website. The fifth and final degree, Mega. And if you look into the tenets of Satanism, the first one is to worship yourself. And I mean, you just think about Donald Trump. I mean, have you ever seen a bigger self-worshiper on the world stage? I mean, have you ever? Let me switch around the audio settings here, because we're actually going to go back and watch April 30th, 2011, back in the time of Obama. That would have been the 45th birthday of the Church of Satan. We're going to watch him tell the jokes with Trump in attendance at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Here, let's do it.
It is wonderful to be here at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. What a week. As some of you heard, the state of Hawaii released my official long-form birth certificate. Hopefully, this puts all doubts to rest. But just in case there are any lingering questions, tonight, I'm prepared to go a step further. Tonight, for the first time, I am releasing my official birth video. Now, I warn you, no one has seen this footage in 50 years. Not even me. But let's take a look.
I'm just going to remind you guys, Simba in Gematria equates to 44. Like he's number 44, going with Acts, the 44th book of the Bible, and him being elected 44 years after the Civil Rights Act, and MLK being killed on 4/4. Again, in Acts, you got Acts 7:6, like Barack Obama's 76, like Slave 76, about 400 years of slavery. And then in the movie, and we've been talking about this stuff since forever, and now last year, or about a year ago, he put out that movie, supposedly that he produced with the 76s all over it, where the slave ship, or the giant oil tanker hits the shore. If you guys haven't seen Leave the World Behind, again, we've talked about it 1,000 times, but the name of that ship, the White Lion, is supposedly the name of the first slave ship that arrived in America, 400 years ago now. And don't forget, just last year, not this year, but last year, the Lion King Simba voice actor died, and that was in the news. I forget if it was the day before or the day after his birthday. It was one of the two. But Simba 44, the voice actor for Simba, died in close proximity to Obama's birthday. I mean, just sick jokes. And let's not forget what they did to James Earl Jones, synced up with the new Lion King movie coming out during Saturnalia. We covered that earlier this year as well.
Oh, well. Back to square one. I want to make clear to the Fox News table, that was a joke.
That's actually funny.
That was not my real birth video. That was a children's cartoon. Call Disney if you don't believe me. They have the original long-form version. There's a vicious rumor floating around that I think could really hurt Mitt Romney. I heard he passed universal health care when he was governor of Massachusetts. Someone should get to the bottom of that. And I know just the guy to do it. Donald Trump is here tonight. Now, I know that he's taken some flack lately, but no one is happier, no one is prouder to put this birth certificate matter to rest than the Donald. And that's because he can finally get back to focusing on the issues that matter. Like, did we fake the moon landing?
And I just want to remind people that this whole controversy was called the birther controversy. The word birther, B-I-R-T-H-E-R, equals 44. And Trump would become number 45, but he was the 44th person to be president, whereas Obama goes down as number 44, but he was the 43rd person. Again, all cleverly thought out jokes. And then using Simba as the joke, who again equals 44.
What really happened in Roswell?
And don't forget, Obama's born in the time of Leo. Leo's the lion, just astrology, numerology, jokes upon jokes.
Well, and where are Biggie and Tupac? All kidding aside, obviously we all know about your credentials and breadth of experience. For example, no, seriously, just recently in an episode of Celebrity Apprentice at the steakhouse, the men's cooking team did not impress the judges from Omaha Steaks. And there was a lot of blame to go around, but you, Mr. Trump, recognized that the real problem was a lack of leadership. And so ultimately you didn't blame Little John or Meatloaf. You fired Gary Busey. And these are the kind of decisions that would keep me up at night. Well handled, sir. Well handled. Say what you will about Mr. Trump. He certainly would bring some change to the White House. Let's see what we've got up there.
Yeah, so there it was. And again, you can clearly see that it was April 30th, 2011, the 45th birthday. Well, it was up there the whole time. You can still see it, but I'm trying to get rid of this stuff. Anyway, 45th birthday of the Church of Satan, you guys. Mega, the highest degree, the GOP logo, changed to a satanic symbol. Things we've just been harping on about for years. I was actually talking about this way before I knew about Gematria. I was on this, back around the time that it happened. When I clearly saw something was wrong with Bush being the president after they changed the results at the end due to the state where his brother was the 43rd governor as he became the 43rd president. I wasn't even old enough to vote then, but I just thought, what is wrong with everybody to not see how BS all this is? And then when the towers came down in a perfect demolition and everyone fell for that, it's just like, what is wrong with everybody? Like, what kind of spell are you guys under? Is this a Disney movie? Is magic real? Am I somehow immune to the spell that seemingly everyone else is under? It reminds me of my 6th grade teacher. She thought I was destined to become the president of the United States. She's like, trust me, Zach, you are special. You will be the leader of this land. I was like, I don't know. Even then I was like, I don't know. I don't know if that's the way it works. I think these people who are the leaders, they might be born into something different than we are. They're coming up in the 6th grade public school system. I have the credentials. But she was right, though. I did stand out from the pack, so... Yeah, it's just we need more people to stand out from the pack. This stuff going on, it's just like, I mean, I don't even know what to say anymore, how they get away with this. I heard No Impact Flicks the other day close out his stream about how we need knowledge and truth out there so that we can stop this. And he demonizes my work and says it's all subjective. Oh, okay. As you get fooled by every selection, as you get... can't tell if the news is fake or contrived or if it's a ritual. It's just like, this guy's a joke, man. We need knowledge and truth to change the world, but you shit on my work all day. Pretty much the only knowledge and truth that's been on the internet to see through the game. Calling it out before it happens. This guy's always playing catch up. We're 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 decades ahead of the process, just like the Illuminati is. It's like we're the real Illuminati. We're the real illuminated ones. We illuminated ourselves through actual knowledge and research and hard work. But we're the grassroots Illuminati trying to fight the real Illuminati. You got all these clowns and pretenders out there that the algorithm feeds views to. The fakes, phonies, and frauds. All right, but yeah, here, I want to go back and read this old post of mine from 2014. February 22nd, 2014. Man, where'd the time go? So, I didn't know nearly as much Gematria back then, but I was highly focused on 33 back in those days. I was always looking for just the 33s. And I noticed this guy, he had a double 33 in his name. And then I noticed how supposedly he won the election was... Let me just read this. President Grover Cleveland was born March 18, 1837, and would become the first and only person to be president for 2 separate terms, making him the 22nd and 24th president. President Cleveland was also the winner of the popular vote in 1888. Remember, him and Trump were born 88 days apart, but lost to Benjamin Harrison due to the Electoral College. President Cleveland was also only one of 2 Democratic presidents during the Republican-dominated era. And again, Stephen, his actual first name, is 33 like Cleveland. And while President, Cleveland developed the term mugwump to describe Republicans who embodied his values. Let us look at the numerology of the word mugwump. Mugwump, 33. Back then, I didn't know there were any gematria calculators. If you guys didn't follow me back in the old days, I'd write things out on a whiteboard. I did all calculations by hand. There were no calculators that I was aware of. At the beginning of Cleveland's second term, an economic disaster struck the nation and was later called the Panic of 1893. So the second term, right? Remember, Donald Trump, the first term he was coming up, the hit show was House of Cards. House of Cards is terminology for an economy that there's really standing on nothing. Just like how our whole economy and the market and everything is just pumped up by the Fed and all this printing of dollars and just all the BS and manipulation. And at this day and age, almost everything's digital, and it's never been more easier to manipulate. But did you guys see that Trump's media company shot up to $48 the day he won this election? Cleveland 48, Donald Trump 48, Freemason 48, Illuminati 48, Hollywood 48. President's Day falls on the 48th day of next year. He could very well take office as number 48 if Biden doesn't finish his term and Kamala becomes number 47 and the prophecy of Gerald Ford is fulfilled. But yeah, the Panic of 1893. As fallout from the economic collapse, the Democratic Party was nearly destroyed, and the outcome gave way to the Republican landslide of 1894. The ultimate outcome of the Democratic fallout was the beginning of the Progressive era. President Cleveland is also one of 4 former New York governors to become President of the United States. Those men in his company are Martin Van Buren, Theodore Roosevelt, and Franklin D. Roosevelt. Now, the Teddy Roosevelt thing's interesting because remember, right after the Trump hoax of July 13, he had his GOP convention in Milwaukee. And we just saw Cleveland beat the Milwaukee Bucks to get off to their best start in 48 years, getting to 8-0 when Grover Cleveland's 80, like Satan, like Baphomet. But again, after the July 13th hoax, he had his GOP convention in Milwaukee, and he picked J.D. Vance, the youngest VP nominee since Teddy Roosevelt, who was shot in the same place. So again, all this connected history and predictive programming. And don't forget that Grover Cleveland was the mayor of Buffalo. I think that happened in 1881. But the story with Trump is that he tried to buy the Buffalo Bills, but they wouldn't sell it to him, so he decided to run for president instead. So, again, all this contrived history, all these little rituals and tributes, it's all been pointing to Grover Cleveland for a long time, and we've been talking about this for years, just all the parallels with Trump and Cleveland. Yeah, I talk about the Cleveland family likes the Kennedy family, and they both originate from Suffolk, England. Isn't that interesting? Because Kennedy equals 33 like Cleveland, and now Trump's taking office with Robert Kennedy Jr. And some pundits are saying this is the greatest political resurrection since Cleveland. Others are saying it's the greatest political resurrection since what Nixon did in 68. And again, Richard Nixon, he ended up winning the election in 72. But, oh shoot, my mind dumped out. Of course, RFK, the father, was shot in 68. My mind spun out. I will remind you, though, the shooting thing at Trump was on the 195th day of the year, July 13th, under the 13 stripes, 13 weeks from the anniversary of the Secret Service being created the day Lincoln was shot. Again, those things happen on the same day. For everyone who doesn't know, the SS, the Secret Service, what a name. And let's not forget what they did on the golf course, too, also paying tribute to the Secret Service, created 159 years earlier, like Donald Trump equals 159, like the golf course hoax was on 15/9. And they had Bob with his bitch tits out get arrested with the pink hair. I mean, anyway, isn't it funny, though, that this old post from 2014, you go back and look at this and you're like, I was talking about then. Cleveland and Kennedy family come from the same place in Suffolk, England. What are the odds? What are the odds? Here, June 7th, 2015, the Grover Cleveland presidency and the coming Republican convention in Cleveland. This post is over 9 years old now. The Republican convention will be in Cleveland this year. Thinking about this reminds me of what the Grover Cleveland presidency did for the Republican Party once upon a time, bolstering their strength. Again, this is back when because for a long time, I re-uploaded the video from February 2016, but I was talking about through 2015, through probably midway through 2016, why all the signs were there for Trump to become president from the first time that he had his first GOP debate. But in the final months, I did change my opinion, and I thought I was wrong. I was like, never mind, it's getting too ridiculous with Trump. It was. I mean, do you guys remember how the things he like literally did the retard thing. He did the and I was like, okay. I mean, like, this can't be the president. But then, and you just realize that it's like, it was just like I was saying the whole time, because he was so polarizing and divisive. It's why it was so perfect. And it's like, even like doing the elementary school. We used to do that at elementary school, call other kids retards, and I'd be like, oh, you retard. And it's like, wow, a 70-year-old man is doing this? And he's like the front runner for the, like, I thought, I was at that point, I was like, oh, this must just be how they're going to get Hillary in there, since nobody likes Hillary. But yeah, that was the mistake in 2016. And like I said, they were putting signs that it could be Kamala, but I said, I feel like this is just like what they did with 2016. We've been saying for years it's going to be Trump, and it was Trump. August 8, 2015, Stephen Grover Cleveland and the Republican Party. Just more on the same thing. Again, Trump. I even pointed out how his birthday had the 58 connection, like Trump went on to win the 58th election, yeah? Oh, snap. November 6th, 1894, they called the election for Trump on November 6th. Wait a minute. Okay, so November 6th, 1894. Hold up. No, I wrote the wrong year sequence. Now, they said the Republicans took the Senate. What were the results in the House? They were saying that was going to be close. House results, 2024 election. Are they still saying some are too close to call? You need 218 for the majority, so I guess they don't have the House done yet. But that is interesting. I did hear them speculating on selection night that it was going to end up being the Democrats with the lead in the House. So we'll see. If it ends up being the Republicans have the Oval Office, the Senate, and the House, this will be deja vu of 2008, which was the year Obama got elected. Remember, in 2008? All the front-runner Democrats were talking about ending the wars, but Obama was mum on that. He didn't say anything about it, and I was pointing that out to all the Democrats. I was living in Seattle, and pretty much everyone's a Democrat, and I was telling people that Obama was nothing but a little puppet, and you could already see that he goes back and forth and doesn't follow through on the things he says, and if you look at his record in Illinois, it doesn't look very liberal, it looks very corporate, which is pretty much what all these people are, corporatists. But Again, and that's because big money controls these puppets, so why wouldn't they be? It's not like, how much money did you guys give to these politicians? Like, none, right? These people are owned by billionaires who want policies that are going to give them a lot of money back when tax season comes around. I mean, it's the way the game works to an extent, but so it was a Republican landslide in 1894 on November 6th. And they called it for Trump. So we'll see if they end up with everything. I would get the joke. I would get the joke. And this is because the economy went to crap during Grover Cleveland's second term. Like it was a house of cards. And remember, I mean, it's not just Trump. J.D. Vance was a Democrat his whole life, too. So it's funny, you got these two guys who were pretty much Democrats their whole life who are now the face of the Republican Party. And again, just a reminder, two wings of the same bird. There were 44 U.S. states at the time. Country wasn't as big. The winners of this election served the 54th Congress. Man, if they do put Kamala in there as president for 54 days, I'm going to see the jokes even more clearly than ever. And this whole thing with the death at the zoo, where we started, the bad omen headline, all these parallels, Grover Cleveland, Republican landslide. Republicans already got the Senate and the Oval Office. Do they get the House too? Remains to be seen. All right. But yeah, this is why it is good. I have a lot of archived information on my old site. And again, Google has deleted a lot of it, but there's still a lot there. So they have deleted some of the most important posts that I ever put up on here, but Grover Cleveland and the Statue of Liberty. Did a lot of work on old Grover Cleveland back in the day. That's why I was so caught on to all the parallels with him and Trump when it happened. His convention in Cleveland. All right. That's right. Trump. No, that's right. I forgot that Trump and Hillary in 2016 were both having their parties in Hell's Kitchen. I mean, God. Oh, yeah. It's just, I mean, like, how don't people know? Why do you think they're both having their election parties in Hell's Kitchen as they elect Mr. Mega, the highest degree of the Church of Satan? The inverted logos at the 47-story Trump Tower. Don't forget, President, White House, Government Authority, Republican, Democrat, D.C., and the word beast all equal 47. All right. But yeah, all the predictive programming for Trump. I mean, we're talking about, this is back when Grover Cleveland was a politician. See, I mean, that's why you can tell that it wasn't an accident, because these books were written back when Grover Cleveland was a politician about this last, God, I'm annoyed that I can't find my post anywhere on here, and I know I used to have a few posts on this, but they're gone. And I was trying to pull them up here before I went live, and I didn't feel like going back and doing the research, but look at these books. Okay. The Last President by Ingersoll Lockwood is a surrealistic 1896 novel. So again, we're right back in the Grover Cleveland time period, where Americans are protesting a corrupt election process while the president's hometown of New York City is fearing the collapse of the republic after the transition of presidential power. If this reminds you of the attitudes after the 2016 Trump presidential win, you are not alone. During 2017, this book, as well as Lockwood's two children's books, The Travels and Adventures of Little Baron Trump. I mean, that's literally his son's name. He was a little kid in do you remember? Oh my God. They've done some serious rituals with even Baron Trump too, just showing you how all this stuff is just so perfectly thought out. Do you guys remember Trump just won the election at age 78, right? And the 78th NBA Finals, again, we told you that before the season began, why Boston Celtics, the only 78 team, were going to win with the finals that began on the Celtics' 78th birthday. But the only game won by Dallas in that series was on Trump's 78th birthday. And the Mavericks won by 38, like Mavericks is 38, like elections 38. The number connected to death, murder, killing, RIP. And again, when JFK died in Dallas, the former Boston mayor, that's what that whole series was about, paying tribute to the dead Kennedys, because it also began on the anniversary of Robert Kennedy's death. But when JFK was killed in Dallas, when Walter Cronkite announced the news, he was the guy who broke the news, he began, some 38 minutes ago, the nation's president passed away. He had to say 38 minutes. Again, D.C., the city on the 38th parallel. Pentagon equals 38, like death, like murder, like killing, like RIP. And we're going to see what happens 38 days after Kamala's birthday on November 27th, exactly 201 weeks since their inauguration. It wouldn't surprise me at all. But, yeah, isn't it funny how these books were written back in the time of Grover Cleveland, who's also from the New York area? Again, these people have planned out centuries, you guys. The Illuminati is a real thing. It was created just before the American Revolution. Their fingerprints are on everything. Again, they're an extension of the Jesuits. The Illuminati was created by a Jesuit in the time of the Jesuit suppression, in a time when people like Thomas Jefferson and John Adams were writing letters about what could happen, how this nation could be destroyed and hijacked if the Jesuits came out of suppression. And then they came out of suppression in the time of the only 201 president, the father of the Constitution, James Madison, and just in a major Jesuit ritual 144 days after his birthday. And don't forget, the Jesuit suppression ended on August 7th. That day can be written 8-7 or 7-8, Jesuit 78, August 7th, like Ignatius of Loyola, which equals 87, the founder of the Jesuits. I've always been talking about how Pope Francis and Donald Trump are so perfectly paired together, their birthdays. And he's 87 right now, Trump's 78. I mean, it's like these people are showing out by their Kabbalistic code and they know almost no one sees it. Their little Jesuit-educated Fordham puppet, Donald Trump. But yeah, in light of how important 47 is to the government, to the history, to this nation's birthday, the 4th day of the 7th month, and Trump becoming the 47th elect, I mean, it does make you wonder. Are we on the verge of what happened with the Soviet Union? I mean, in a way, I almost hope we are. Maybe something better will come out of it. Because the nation is too big, you guys. I hate how big this nation is. I've never been to Washington, D.C. in my life because it's so far away. I'm all the way over here on the other Washington, on the West Coast. If I lived next to the federal government, I'd probably just spend all my time out there with the big speaker and just blasting these people until the whole world wakes up. And I would like to do that, but it takes resources, and then I got to be away from home and sweet lady and family. But the nation's too big, you know? I can go down to my Washington state capital. It's about a 3.5-hour drive. But to drive to Washington, D.C., that's about 40 hours. And I mean, we did do that. We almost drove there. The plan was to go to D.C. after New York, but then things changed with Sweet Lady. I had to fly back. But hey, we spent 2 weeks on the road and hit every city between Seattle and New York and went up to Yale. I mean, we did a lot. The next trip was D.C., and I'm mad I still haven't been there. But I guess the timing just wasn't right. So yeah, just with regards to Trump and being number 47, again, just one more time. We went over this real quick last night, but I just want to pound it home. Caller called in 2 days ago and said, hey, did you know that the Manchurian Candidate novel, did you know that it was published exactly 4,700 days after Trump was born? And I said, you know what? I did not know that. So I had to take a look, and it's true. It was published exactly 4,700 days. Again, President, White House, government authority, Republican, Whig, Democrat, D.C., Trump. The CIA established in 47, which is a component of the Manchurian Candidate story. Again, about them raising these mind-controlled people with, you know, this was like the whole MK Ultra thing. That book predates MK Ultra, and that tells you that MK Ultra was probably already going on. But Trump's done so many 47 rituals, you know, I just can't even keep up with all of them, including posting on his Truth Social for the first time in 47 days. On the 119th day of the year, and now he'll take office with the 119th Congress, like how the election was called for him on 11/9. in 2016 when tarot cards equals 119, and again there's 78 in the deck, and this time he's 78, and the election was called on 11/6, and Manchurian candidates 116. But again, I want people to look at what that book's about beyond just all the 47 stuff and how perfectly coordinated it is, and how this guy literally was born for the job, like he says in that certain mattress ad while talking to Sheep 11 and 9. Again, The Manchurian Candidate is a novel by Richard Condon, first published in '59. It is a political thriller about the son of a prominent U.S. political family. Remember, Trump's his uncle was a Fed. He worked for the FBI. He was in charge of auditing Tesla's apartment when he died. And again, now it's Trump and Elon Musk, who has the car company Tesla, which equals 78, like Jesuit, like I'm Dark Mega, like how he was declared the world's richest man for the first time ever on the 78th death anniversary of Nikola Tesla, January 7th, 2021. Trump had a sister who died recently, who was a lawyer for Reagan. I'm not sure what his brother did, who died on the Jesuit order's birthday, but he's had family in the federal government since the time, his uncle was a lot older than him. But anyway, prominent U.S. political family. Like, imagine that you could point to multiple people. You had a sister who was a lawyer for Reagan, the other mega guy. The uncle who worked for the FBI that edited Tesla. That would make you're from a prominent U.S. political family, and prominent family indeed. Just super wealthy family, already big time in the real estate business, even before little Donald came along. The guy who's on the record saying, when I graduated in the '60s, my dad only gave me $1 million. Only $1 million. Only $1 million in the '60s? What's only $1 million in the '60s translate to in 2024? That's millions of dollars. Can you imagine going, my dad only gave me millions of dollars? I mean, most American families never see $1 million slaving away for their whole lifetime, and they probably would if they didn't have to pay so much in taxes. But the average, you look at the average person, like look at my father. I mean, he slaved away, worked 7 days a week, worked all kinds of jobs, and then when he was all said and done, he had $400,000 to his name, and that's pretty typical for Americans. So, but it goes on, a political thriller about the son of a prominent U.S. political family who is brainwashed into being an unwitting assassin for a communist conspiracy. And some people right now are like, how could you say that? He's fighting that communist Democratic Party that he's been a member of his whole life, just like J.D. Vance. But yeah, it's actually easy to see because we've never seen the U.S. closer to communism than when he was the president of the United States, as I was talking about then. And for all of you guys who forgot that, you must be under some kind of brainwashing. Again, the government locked down the nation, told people they had to close their businesses, and then said what were essential businesses as Costco, Walmart, Amazon got to stay open and ate up a lion's share of the market. And forever going forward, these companies will continue to gain momentum and power and greater control. And for all of you who think those are private companies, that's where you're mistaken. That's where you're falling for the illusion. These companies are clearly the government. And Walmart makes it super obvious because they're the greatest recipient of welfare in the history of the United States. Look at how much subsidies Walmart has always gotten to build their stores. They might as well be fascist mart. And there is a fine line between communism and fascism and all these things. Fascism's the alliance of government and corporation. Essentially, if you have a corporate government structure where they control everything, that's pretty much communism. So, and again, just the whole of shutting down and it wasn't even that either. It was also like shutting down churches. You couldn't go to worship. That kind of stuff happens in communist nations, that there can only be one national religion. So no, this just makes way too much sense. You got to be a special kind of dumb to not see it. And then you start looking into the communist parallels with the Jesuits as well. It's all there. It's all there. So, what are the odds that book was published 4,700 days after his birthday? And right here, around that same time, here's the year before that book was published. The End of the World, the Trackdown episode. We've been talking about this forever. This post is from the start of 2017, 6 days before Trump took office. Hold on. Okay, so if you have not seen this episode, you can watch it. There's a con man in Texas named Trump saying that they're all going to die if they don't pay him to build a wall. And they refer to him as a snake oil salesman over and over in the episode. Again, it goes with Trump saying, giving that poem that he's read so many times about the snake, and you knew what he was and you let him in. And again, next year, 2025, the year of the snake will begin. Again, the Chinese zodiac's on a 12-year cycle. So start 2025. It'll start again in 2037. The last time was 2013, back when Obama was in there, shortly after his joke about Trump becoming number 45. The director of that episode was Donald McDougal, you guys. Donald McDougal. 138, just like Donald Trump, like federal. The con man is Walter Trump. Walter Trump, the snake oil salesman who says if you don't let him build a wall in Texas, you're all going to die. And again, that came out in 58, like he won the 58th selection after announcing from the 58-story Trump Tower, and they got rid of Prince, Mr. Purple Rain, Mr. 58. And again, I mean, for all the years we've talked about Prince's death for that selection, and now his sister dies the day before this year's election. I mean, it's and Prince's sister's death is announced by her son, whose name is President. I mean, come on. I had multiple posts on this. I think I accidentally loaded up the worst. There's a better post. But the end of the world tracked down May 9th, 58. Hold on, I want to find the other post. Oh, the judge. The judge in the episode is Judge Clement. 119, just like Donald's 119, like they called the election for him on November 9th in 2016, and now he's going to take office with the 119th Congress. And again, Francis and Underwood both equal 119. Again, Francis and Underwood, the president and House of Cards, they both equal 47 and 119. Francis, 119.47. Underwood, 119.47. Trump's 47 in the base ciphers. In Jewish Gematria, which again, Derek renamed Latin, Donald is 119. Isn't it interesting how Trump is 470 in that cipher? And Donald's 119. Oh yeah, it was set in Talpa, Texas. I almost forgot. Talpa, Texas, another 119. Another 119, Talpa, Texas. So I went back and did a follow-up post years later. Track down 134, like Make America Great Again. This is, oh man, it's crazy how thought out all this stuff is. That episode came out 37 days from Trump's birthday. 37 is the 12th prime. Trackdown's also 37. Trump was 12 years old at the time. And the whole ritual, remember the ritual they did with McDonald's? Ray Kroc equals 37. When Trump was 37, Ray Kroc died at 81. President Trump, 81. The movie about Ray Kroc came out on Inauguration Day back in 2017. But Bucks County is where he gave out the French fries, the Jesuits from France. Bucks County, 37. It's also 154. 201 is 154 in base 8 counting, like how the movie about Ray Kroc came out on the 201st day of the nation's age, 20/1, January 20th, 2017. But yeah, to mock Harris on her birthday. So there's been some stuff with the 37 too, with him and Kamala, but that was in this trackdown episode. But yeah, there's people out there celebrating, thinking they had an impact on the selection. They feel like the right candidate's in there. It's the Manchurian who was born and bred to be, who's been mocking you for years, doing commercials talking to sheep about how they'll never count sheep again. The guy who brought us closer to communism than ever when he was the president. And everyone falls for it because they're like, well, that's because of the pandemic. Yeah, okay. Just to even call it that just shows how asleep you are. Is that what it is? A pandemic when 80-year-olds die in the nursing home in Bill Gates' backyard, the land of the world's biggest needle, after they just simulated the whole thing? That's a pandemic, huh? And then the pandemic was something that they coined as seasonal flu in 1968, because that's what it was coined as. Look it up. In that infamous year, the same year the feds approved fentanyl, 1968, the same year 911 was made the national emergency dialing code, the same year World Trade Center construction began, the same year George W. Bush got out of Yale Skull and Bones. All the things in 68. 2001 A Space Odyssey about technology overtaking man. So D26 wants to hop on. Of course you can, D26. Anytime you want to come on, you can. You guys, if you listen to D26, he's very chilled out, but just nothing but wisdom comes out of the mouth. Important finds. He's got a nice soothing accent. So he'll hop on here in a minute, and we'll see what he's got. Golden ID code. You weren't a member before. Thank you for becoming a member. This guy has the most appropriate name too. He's decoded some of the most amazing things and blew my mind over the years. Anytime you see his comments in the comments section, you got to take a look. Golden ID codes. The only thing I could ask is that you leave those decodes on my actual website so they don't all go down the toilet whenever this channel gets deleted again, because you know it's going to happen at some point. I mean, we've had 20-some channels deleted to date. If they stayed up on my website, they'd be there forever. All right. Well, I guess nothing's forever, but for a lot longer than things last on Google. Narc SBE, thank you again. He said, salute, brother. I want to be clear. I see the evidence you're putting forward and agree nearly wholeheartedly. I forget. Did the other day, did you say you were happy Trump won? I can't remember. I forget what we disagreed on, but thank you. Irene88, Zach breaking news. 43 rhesus monkeys escaped biolab in South Carolina. Hope it's not another precursor to more monkeypox, where we got to pay billions more for more monkeypox jabs. Where did those billions go for the monkeypox jabs, where that was obviously an overblown load of BS? 33rd degree Freemason. Did you ever cover Harambe? Yeah, that was all synced up with LeBron in the finals that year. That was a tribute to LeBron. A little racist joke at the Cleveland Zoo. Oh, yeah. Who remembers Harambe in the United States of Amnesia? Hold on, it's the wrong website. Harambe. Let's see what posts still remain. The Gladys Porter Zoo 216, like the Cleveland area code. Oh, he was actually in Cincinnati in a different Ohio zoo, but it was all synced up with the Cavs that year. Or wait, did he come from? I haven't talked about this in forever. What was the Gladys Porter Zoo connection? Oh, the former caretaker was at the Gladys Porter Zoo. Okay, so just like how this elephant that died in D.C. used to be up in Calgary in Canada, where they got Jesuit Trudeau. Yeah, I'd have to go back and look at everything because this was years ago, but Harambe had the 48 like James, like Cleveland. I'm scanning to see if there was any. It was on May 28th, 148th day of the year, except for it was a leap year, so it was the 149th, 35th prime. King James equals 35. I look back at these old posts and I remember how big of views I got, and I just know that my decoding was like a fraction of what it is now, and I just think about how's it even possible that I was getting such huge views back then, and now the work's like off the chains, undeniable, and I can't get any views. Oh man, censorship is a mother. Brookfield Zoo's got that 153 17th triangular number. Ohio, the 17th state. Harambe was 17 years old. NBA's the 17 league. Hey, remember when LeBron went over to the Lakers in the major 17 ritual with a $153 million contract, and we told you that day he'd win the Lakers their 17th championship in his 17th season, as he did? Facts and Circumstances 216, Cleveland area code. It was all about LeBron in the finals. He protected the child, so they killed the gorilla. It's like, come on, man. That was messed up. And that's why you got to give animals more credit, too. They've done several things with animals, really, over the years. "48-year-old orangutan around the same time in Seattle." The woman connected to that had the 206 connection to the Seattle area code. So, yeah, sometimes it was easier for me to make the connections with what they were doing in basketball. And sometimes when I do posts, like, I wouldn't write down everything I was thinking for the sake of time, and I would just explain it in a video. So I'd have to go back and find my old Harambe videos. But yeah, we were definitely covering that way back when. You guys, I've been here every day for over 11 years. If it was in the news, I covered it. If it was a big story, we definitely covered it. We haven't missed any big stories. And that was a big one at the time. Thank you very much, Ellie. I appreciate that. Very generous. Thank you so much. Oscar Garcia with more generosity. Thank you again, Oscar. Ripple Effect said, do you think they will crash the economy on Trump or the dollar? Well, again, you guys, it's like they put in these puppet stooges, and then they have their planned rituals for the world that cause the great consequences. So, yeah, I think it's very possible with all the House of Cards predictive programming. And again, you see what happened with Grover Cleveland. In Grover Cleveland's second term, it was one of the greatest economic collapses ever. So, and remember too, the Gerald Ford thing is, here we're going to know it's going to happen this way. If Kamala ends up becoming president because Biden doesn't finish his term, remember what Gerald Ford said. He said, after we get the first female president, it will be hard for a man to ever win another election. And I do suspect that first female president probably will come from the Democratic Party. I mean, that remains to be seen, but just they're the ones who've historically run women. And, if there is a great fallout in the time of the Republican Party, that's the way things work. People are going to blame it on the Republicans. And it might be a little bit of a turnaround, right? Because it was Grover Cleveland's blunders that led to the Democratic Party nearly being wiped out and brought about this dominance of years of Republicans. It could be a similar narrative, but with the parties flipped around. So, yes, Grover Cleveland was the mayor of Buffalo. I thought that's what I said earlier. Maybe he gave me a super chat or before I said that, but indeed, I was bringing that up with how Trump tried to buy the Buffalo Bills, named after the cowboy Buffalo Bill, who went on a 322-mile pony ride, which is kind of like a donkey. Yeah, stock market's surging right now. Got to build up the house of cards. Indeed. Rick James. Thanks again, Rick James. Always with the generous donations. And shout out to King Richard TV. He must be doing well right now, King Richard. You just got money flowing out of the pockets. He's making it rain over here. I'd watch Trump when he turns 80. That's what I've been saying too, with all this 80 business. On August 30th, 2026, it'll be his 78th day of his age. Interesting one. Grover Cleveland. Yeah, all the 80 is making things look quite interesting for when he's that age. Might have eaten too many McDonald's Big Macs by the time that rolls around. All right, we got D26, and then we got Narc. What's up, D26?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, how you doing?
Hold on a second. My voice is echoing.
Oh, I know why. It's because I had to change the audio. It's my fix. We're good.
Okay. So, yeah, the moment when you, in the stream, when you mentioned about, when you brought up your old article about, what was it, about November 6th? Is it about something related to Cleveland? Oh yeah, the election after Cleveland, right? That was on November 6th.
Yep.
So the last time when I was on over here, I think last night morning for you, uh, I was mentioning about that I lost my notes because I did not save it when I was doing doing the decodes. One thing I missed out last time was about that specific date, because I found something just a couple of days before I left for my native before Diwali, and that was a video of Donald Trump about the launch of his third book called as The Art of the Comeback, and that came out in the 90s. Good thing I'll do this. I'll just share the tweet, or you know what? Just check Twitter if you can, or just should I just get the link on the chat? Hold on. I've tweeted just the moment when you will have went live. I just tweeted that. Hold on. Let me get that video for you. All right, I got it on the private chat. What's that? Do watch that video. So just to prevent if this stream gets taken down, just watch the bit from 20 seconds to 32 seconds. You can play that. At least 12 seconds won't be an issue. Do you think? Do you think?
From what timestamps did you say again?
From first 20 seconds to the first 32 seconds. 12 seconds from 20 to 32.
All right, from 20 to 32. All right, I got to switch around the audio settings again because they made it
All
on
right,
the
no problem.
StreamYard that if you have it on one setting, you can't hear the video, but then it makes the guest echo. And I don't know why they did this. It didn't used to be this way, but it's like one of those improvements that wasn't an improvement. All right, switch around here. All right, from 20 to 32, it looks like Trump on Charlie Rose.
Had lost his crown. Donald Trump, some say, is out to prove them wrong and is currently writing his third book, which is The Art of the Comeback. And that's what we want to start with. Donald Trump is here, and I'm pleased to have him. Welcome. Hi,
Okay. Is that what you hear just about the book?
As now look at the date on that interview. It is November 6, 1992.
Yeah. Okay.
That is November 6, 1992. And that's the midnight when they announce the elections, and that's how the title is going well with the book and the what happens 32 years later. And guess what? The book was released on 31st of October 1997. From that to the election is 27 years. So 27, as we say, ritual equals 27. And talking about the interview, the guy, his name is Charlie Rose, that equals 56.
Well, Rose is also a symbol of secrecy. And notice it's 32 years later, right? November 6, 2024. America's 32, Scottish 32. Trump's a Scottish ancestry, the Scottish Rite. The middle degree is the 32nd degree. The middle degree of the Scottish Rite is shared. The motto of the middle degree of the Scottish Rites ad Merum de Gloriam, shared with the Jesuits, because Jesuits wrote the rites of the Scottish Rite. 32 sun rays on the Jesuit order's logo. So yeah, I mean that's just blatant. His interview with Charlie Rose, the art of the comeback, 32 years to the day, and then just this whole Manchurian candidate thing, and then what happened with Grover Cleveland back in November 6th, 1894. I mean, yeah, great find.
And also the title of the book is equals 105. Order of Illuminati is 105. 105 is also the 14th triangular number.
Masonry. Masonry is also 105. We're in the time of the 105th NFL season, where they just synced up the Monday Night Football game with Trump, and the quarterback from White House, Texas, as his mom endorses Trump right before he wins the game by the Trump numbers in the 138th game of the NFL season when Donald Trump's 138. Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry to disappoint, but probably in the rest of my life, I will never understand whenever you connect sports with other things, because it's US sports. I'm not into US sports. But coming back to the number 14, Trump is born on the 14th. the co-writer of that book, Kate Boner, that's the name, and she's born on the 14th of April, 144, and what else? There was something else as well. Hold on. This is always this is usually what happens when I don't keep the notes. Oh, regarding one more tweet, since I was talking about my tweets, I don't know if this was missed something, but I mentioned about it was, I guess, a few weeks or few months old. Uh, I shared this old clip of some interview in the 1990s or in the 80s about the true meaning of ISIS, about in terms of politics and in terms of geopolitics. And there was these two gentlemen who said in an interview that there is no Mossad is mostly the facade of the Jewish intelligence. The official name that they have kept, or they keep under their own offices under the table. It's just like a secret among themselves. The name goes as Israeli Secret Intelligence Service, which stands for ISIS, and that equals 201.
Yep. We've talked about that in the past. You guys, by the way, do you see how in this interview with Trump, he talked about, or this interview with Charlie Rosentrump from November 6th, 92, do you see how he talked about Mike Tyson? I'm not sure if you're aware of this, D26, but Mike Tyson's very famous boxer, and he used to box in a lot of Trump's venues. But he has a huge match right now. I mean, the biggest match for Mike Tyson in decades against Jake Paul, this prompt up YouTuber who's become a boxer. And they're advertising it on TV nonstop right now. Mike Tyson has 58 career matches under his belt. He's 58 years old. Remember, Trump won the 58th election, and now he's come back and won again. But I want you guys to see the date of this fight and how we were just talking about this on Patreon, how this is clearly a tribute to Trump. And it's funny that Mike Tyson's next knockout for his career is 45, and he's a huge underdog versus Jake Paul because Jake Paul's a young guy and Mike Tyson's 58. But look at this, you guys. Mike Tyson, Jake Paul fight. Look how big of a joke all this is. November 15th, right? Look at Mike Tyson's birthday. Mike Tyson, born June 30th. Check this out. June 30th to the fight is 138 days, just like how they just synced up the NFL football game, the 138th game, the night before the last game of the NFL season before the selection. Again, was a 138 ritual. When the Nationals won the World Series after Trump hired the Nationals announcer for Inauguration Day, the Nationals won the World Series 138 days after Trump's birthday. And again, that was the 115th World Series. Look, he took office at the 115th Congress, and now he's won the November 5th election. Again, Donald Trump equals 138. So does federal. So does Nationals. So does Dave Martinez. That was the manager of the Nationals. But just the same recurring patterns over and over and over. And here, Mike Tyson boxing record, just so you can see all this. BoxRec website with all the boxing stats. Bouts, 58, because he has 50 wins, 6 losses, and the disqualification. That was when he bit off Holyfield's ear. But so 58 fights, and again, he's 58 years old right now. His knockout percentage coming into this fight is 88% for another Trump number. But man, it's just realizing that he was talking about Mike Tyson in the comeback interview, and now Mike Tyson trying to make a comeback as an old man. I mean, and he's fighting a guy named Paul, which equals 58 as well as in Jake Paul. And Jake Paul just got a whole bunch of attention for endorsing Trump right before the election too, and Mike Tyson also endorsed Trump. So, what a great find, D26. You're amazing.
Also, comeback equals 46, like Trump was born in 46.
Oh, and the fight's on the day, leaving 46 days left in the year. Yeah.
That sums it up. Regarding, you said you had some find, or something was on your screen about July 28th regarding the Cleveland elections. I don't know why, but whenever that was on the screen, the first thing that I was reminded about July 28th was the bombing. Not the bombing. Sorry, the plane crash in the Empire State Building. It was in 46, if you remember.
The one that crashed into the Empire State Building.
Yes.
Yeah.
And This might be too cheesy, but if it's that the name of that plane was, it since it was a military plane, it was called as the B-25 Mitchell bomb or something like that. And if you just, this is like as I said, this might be far fetched or might be too cheesy, but the name of the plane, it's just B-25, just like, it looks like 2025.
Okay.
And that was it for today. That's it. That's why I was trying to call you, but I don't know. On WhatsApp, it probably said that you are not internet. Your internet is kind of shut down. So I just had to ask you about the stream. That's it. That's it for now. Maybe when I find something better, I will probably call in.
All right. Always brilliant. Thank you, D26.
One last thing before I leave. Sorry, as I said, it's a very bad habit I feel. And did you know the wife of the Vice President-elect J.D. Vance? She's Indian immigrant,
Yes. Yep.
and she's also born on January 6th, out of all days.
I think we covered that. And if you haven't seen the
Oh, okay.
movie, so if people don't know, J.D. Vance supposedly wrote a book that became a movie, and they added it to Netflix right as he became the VP nominee. And right in the movie, big 33 on the screen in a 33 jersey as a child. And then and the character that's supposedly him. And then there's a scene where he's supposedly this guy that's from the country, and he doesn't know this etiquette for very fancy people, and he's at a Yale dinner because he goes to Yale, and he has to call up his Indian girlfriend because her family comes from high class, and he's asking her which fork is he supposed to eat with because there's so much silverware on the table, and she tells him to put the fingers together and make like the 666 fingers like they do. And then he ends up holding them up over his eyes in the scene. It's like, I mean, like, how do people see the same repetitive symbolism? All the celebrities that do that pose with the fingers over the eyes, the 33, it's all like in the first 10, 15 minutes of the film. But yeah, his Indian girlfriend and wife, girlfriend at first in the movie, and then wife is a big part of the story. So,
Well, what was the movie about? What was the name of the movie? Forgot.
God, it's Hillbillyology, I think.
I need to look it up.
Hillbilly Elegy. There, I put it up on the screen.
Oh, okay, got it.
Now it's a movie, and if you have Netflix, I think it's on there still.
Yeah, I do have Netflix, but they have different Netflix. They have differences across nations, right? That's why. What you must have in your Netflix will not probably be the same at my over here. Netflix differ from location to location.
Oh yeah, that's right. In different nations, different movies. Yeah.
And based on your suggestions, I started House of Cards. It's going good so far. You never suggested a movie or a show other than They Live. So I think I should have considered your suggestion. That's why I started the show. It's going good so far.
Have you watched Knowing?
Knowing? No.
Oh, you need to watch that's for everybody who's aware of Gematria, you have to watch the movie Knowing. You got to watch Knowing. Knowing's the quintessential movie.
I think since it's Nicolas Cage, I must have seen some clips of this movie, but I don't think so. I've definitely not watched the entire movie. I know the actor very well.
Yeah, this movie, you'll understand why I said it's essential viewing. So
it's 2 hours 1 minute, so I think I should take that as a yes. Yeah, I will probably watch it tonight, maybe. All right, thank you for having me.
Number one on the list for all movies that point to what's going on in the world with numbers and ritualism. Nothing even competes.
This reminds me, since you said it's a number one piece when it comes to movies, as in your recommendation, this reminds me of my very first decode on your old website of Free to Find Truth, where that was my longest code, and that stays as my longest code decode. It was about an Indian series called as Human, and it was about the entire mockery you can do on the masses about the entire 2 years of the mass psychosis from 2020 up to 2022. The entire thing about all the tests, all the mockery, everything. It was on the face. I didn't even know that I would find this. But in that Indian show, in the middle of nowhere, like I was just watching the show, and I suddenly happened to find out in one of the frames that a girl, a lady in that show, she's a doctor, and she is wearing a T-shirt, a black T-shirt, which has the logo of the Jesuits.
Huh.
You never find that. You never find this in an Indian show, but you just happen to find that. The name I found at least like 201. Like I think I found 6 201 connections in that series. The trailer was 2 minutes 1 second long, way too much. But yeah, that's also there. It's not only in the U.S. I would just say, simple as that.
Yeah, Jesuits were all over the world well before this nation was even created. So, all right, D26.
Not just my number in India.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I won't take too much longer. I think I've already taken 5 to 10 minutes more than I should have. But yeah,
All right,
thank you for having me.
happy early birthday, 19 more days. Or
Yeah.
it's probably 18 more days at this point, but okay.
Oh, isn't the day? Oh, it's 8th of November already over here. That's the
Yeah,
day when
18
Trump
for
was
you.
first
Okay.
elected.
Yeah, you're in the future. That's why you're so far ahead of us. All right, D26.
Was it?
Appreciate it, man.
Yep.
Take care. All right, and then we got Narc who wanted to hop on. What's up, Narc?
Yeah, what's up, bro? I don't want to take up too much of your time, but yeah, my rationale for saying what I said in that super chat like 2 days ago, whatever it was pretty much I'm looking at it from those who have the actionable ability to improve themselves, like yourself and many others. We will take this and the Trump win as a sign that we need to do X, Y, and Z in preparation for what they're trying to do. That's more so my perspective with it. You know, all the people that kind of fall for the rigmarole and the con and whatnot, they're going to continue being sheep. I'm looking at it from a tiered perspective, and at the bottom tier is we want freedom, and I see this Trump thing as a way that we can swing that momentum for like, oh well, the Gematria is behind him doing this, this, and this, and that. And when we see that, we can have kind of like fire lit under us, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. I get it from that perspective. Yeah, we have ample ammunition because we've been anticipating this for a long time. So
Exactly, yeah. And then there's another layer to it. I made a little bit of money just because he got in, so there's a little of that incentive as well. But for like, especially like with certain political movements, I think that they can. I don't think that the Jesuits have complete control. I think they have a lot of control, but I don't think they have complete control because of natural law and the law of possibility, which dictates
well,
that
look at
anything
us.
can happen.
Look at us. We're not obeying
Exactly.
their control structure. Yeah.
Exactly. There you go. That's what I'm saying. So I think that with the Trump thing, even though he is a Jesuit, because I actually lost. That's why I came on this channel, the Narc SB, because I actually lost my old channel because I showed your video and another video that broke down some, and YouTube clipped my wings. So, it's a funny long
That is
story.
the dangerous thing about collaborating with me. There's been so many people who've lost their channels just for sharing a little bit of my work or doing one interview with me. And I think that's also part of the reason people don't mess with me, because I think people know that. And I feel bad about that. And I've lost a lot of channels. But that should also be a wake-up call to people about why this information needs to get out, because they are seriously trying to contain it and keep people from talking about it.
I agree 100%. That's why I keep doing it. This is my 6th channel.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, we have to push forward and push the envelope, and whatever moment and in time that we can use for our benefit, we need to use it. Whatever event that pops up, we can swing the energy off of that. Like I remember Brendan O'Connell. I know you know about him a little bit. I know I don't agree with him on the Zionists running the game. I think it's really the Jesuits and some other cabals, but he mentioned use the Trump energy, use the retards in the Trump train to kind of swing this, and it goes for the left too. But to swing our favor, you know what I'm saying? To swing.
I understand what you're trying to say. There's a movement there, so if somehow you can get that movement aligned with where they need to be. But how do you do that? Oh shit, we lost him. If he wants to come back, I'd like to hear his idea on how to do that. Until he comes back, Walata T said, "Apologies for sounding ignorant, but why does our government specifically use Gematria to keep the system running?" Narc just came back in the back room. I'm going to hop him on. Let me answer this question, and I'm going to bring Narc back on. Why does the government well, and then he dropped out again. Narc, if you can get the connection right, I'll bring you back on. I'll wait for you to get things straightened out if it's possible. Why does our government specifically use Gematria to keep the system running? Apologies if you have mentioned that already. Yeah, trust me. Oh, man, it's 2024. I definitely mentioned it a lot of times and written books about it and everything. But I'll answer it again. Again, DC, this nation, a lot of secret societies were involved in founding this nation. I mean, if you start to read even just like mainstream stuff, it's out there. You can watch the History Channel, learn about how many of the founders were in secret societies, especially Freemasonry. And since DC is known as the Masonic City, just to keep this simple, look into what Masonry is based in. Masonry is based in Kabbalah. And there's something in Kabbalah called Gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words. And why? Again, because in the Kabbalistic text, the Book of Formation, it's written that God created the world with numbers, letters, and words. So this is a belief about how God operates. And it's similar to Genesis, because Genesis speaks the world into existence, language, over numbered days. Day 1, day 2, day 3. These people are operating by a numerical code day after day. And again, look at who gave us the calendar and the language. The Catholic Church did. The Jesuit order did. They gave us the language as we know it. They gave us the calendar as we know it. Who created modern Freemasonry? The Jesuits, who are a religious order, who have the knowledge of Judaism and Kabbalah, thanks to the Templars, and that's why the Templar cross in the middle of their logo. So again, you got to know where these things came from and what they're based in. And obviously, these people are playing God over our lives by the Kabbalistic belief of how God created the world and operates. All right, we got Narc back. What's up,
Yeah,
Narc?
I apologize. I've never had that happen to me. Would just cut out everything and shut my phone down, man. That was weird. But I apologize. But yeah,
Here's
I
what I
agree
wanted
with
to ask you. Here's what I wanted to, because I know what you last said, and I asked you a question, and that's when you cut out. So I don't even know if you heard my question.
I didn't hear
But
it. Yeah.
you were saying how we have to use this Trump movement energy, and I get what you're saying. Like, okay, there's this group of people that want. How do we get them in line with the truth? That's what you're trying to say, right? That's what Brandon
Yeah,
O'Connell was saying.
exactly. Yeah.
So what's the vision? How do you do that? How do you get the Trump people in line with the truth?
Well, the gematria, since it's set by the resonant frequency, like you mentioned, we have to infect these people's minds, forms, their thoughts with our frequency. And the way that I think we can do that is, how do I say this? It's like a soft infiltration, soft suggestion, like plant little seeds in them, because, we don't need everybody. We just need a critical mass. And if the people who are interested with that seed planted, they come around a little bit like, oh, well, tell me a little bit more. Oh, well, this little factoid that you dropped on me, it makes a lot of sense. Do you have any more? And then we get them hooked on that and pull them into this side. I think that's the way to go. There's probably other ways to do it that I'm, can't think of for some reason, but
Well, okay, I agree with that. And I'll remind people, in 2020, there was a huge Trump rally at the Capitol in Washington State, out where I live, and I went there, and I got a big group of it was a QAnon-backed Trump anti-lockdown rally, so you got like the super Q people there. But I went there and I got, on the loudspeaker, and I was telling about, because it had recently happened at the time. This was April of 2020. It was actually April 19th. It was Ignatius Loyola Day. And I thought, how perfect. QAnon 201. People don't even see why they're having this rally at the Capitol on Ignatius Loyola Day. I didn't talk about that, though. What I talked about was how Trump was recently at the World Economic Forum on the day the cooties was arrived in the country. And I laid out the whole 222 ritual. I got a whole bunch of people that were at that thing to stop and stand around and listen, and a bunch of them came around like, whoa, maybe I need to look more into Trump. So I got these Q people to stop and think and listen and talk to me. And I even got what's his name? Glenn Beck, his news thing was there, The Blaze, and they interviewed me for a long time. And people who were in the community back then remember what happened. They never put my thing, because they did like an hour-long special of what went on in that rally, but they didn't put me anywhere in it. But then the next day, Glenn Beck said he found out the ultimate truth about what the liberals were doing with the 201. And it turned into this whole political thing and left out everything I said. And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But,
And you're right.
No, you can get these people to stop and think. And I guess the good thing about the Q people is they will entertain the idea of conspiracy. So I do hear it, but okay.
Yeah, I feel you. That's the way we got to do it, man, and we have to do it in person. That's one of Brendan's problems: the constant online spin, the constant being stuck in internet ghettos and hangouts, they call them, all this type of stuff. We need to get past that. How do you get past that? Past the algorithm and the censorship that's crazy on YouTube and Twitter and whatnot. You have to go in person to the rallies and talk with people. And I think like if we had little flyers or whatever informational pieces and show them little clips and shorts or whatnot, like there's ways to break past this thing. It's not completely sold up yet. And one of the people and groups we need to target are these disparate, or a group in a sense, you know what I'm saying? We need to target these disparate, disaffected populations, just like the Marxists, communists, the Jesuits did. Like what they did with the Black community, how they flipped my community into kind of being soldiers for them, but through communism and stuff like that. We can do the same thing. Because like I mentioned, that Ali Muhammad guy, he's got that Aboriginal movement. Now they moved towards the Republican side because they made a deal with them, not on no Illuminati shit, but where they're trying to get on the Bureau of Indian Affairs. And there's a whole story behind that. But the thing is, though, people like that are open to this because they have similar systems, like the Zolkin calendar, which comes from the Mayans. It's very similar to how they program Gematria, because if you go into the history of Gematria, you'll see various connections that I don't want to get into, probably do it on another stream, but, you know, there's a lot of connection points that we can make. And I think we need to be able to do that. And I think you're an excellent brother to be able to do that. So I got to keep giving you money.
Well, don't give too much, man. It's difficult times, and it might get a lot more difficult. But I appreciate your calls into the stream. You got a great voice, and I like everything you've expressed on the streams and the ones you've come on. So thank you again.
No problem. Appreciate you. Peace.
All right. Yeah. Take care. This comment from Frank Lopez. Truth does not exist. Just did a video on this subject, and I've been thinking the same thing for a long time. It almost does seem like I'm the most famous person on the internet. You can put my name anywhere in anybody's live chat, and I'm not the most famous person on the internet. I'm going to make a point about this. It seems like I am if you drop my name anywhere, because almost instantly you'll have people attacking my name and saying I'm a shill and all this stuff. It almost seems impossible because obviously, you know, my channel has been bigger in the past and we've been kept real small for a long time now. But truth does not exist. I think he's right. He's saying it seems like it's just like the AI, because AI audits everything online now, checks everything, censors it, deletes everything. Why not think that there's AI bots all over that when you just write the word Zachary Hubbard or Gematria or GematriaEffectNews, that triggers the AI bots to automatically come with the same phrases, because you see the same things happen from these random accounts. It doesn't matter whose live stream you're in. You could think that channel would know the last, like how would anyone in that channel that with that topic and that speaker even have any clue about what's going on over here? But you stay in the chat and you write, next thing you know that people are writing like, oh, that stuff's BS. Oh, that's wrong. That's witchcraft. He's a shill. It's like, it's the same thing everywhere. And it's been that way for years now. And there is something super suspect about it. It's like, wait a minute, people over here know who that is? Never heard them talk about that person or that channel, but people. So yeah, something doesn't make sense, and it makes sense to me that it is AI bots, and it's just part of the way the whole platform is rigged. So I don't think those are real people responding to you, Frank Lopez. The other thing is there might be some people that know, because there are a lot of big channels over the years. We're talking about A Call for an Uprising, these types of people that made several videos trying to slander me in the work, you know, the fake Christians. So you got all those people that are sucked into fake Christian YouTubers. They might have that opinion because they listen to those kind of channels. And that just shows you the mind of the average religious person. Poor discernment, poor logic, reasoning, can't discern who's the obvious truth teller. You know, A Call for an Uprising is kind of like a Brian. They just make a video on whatever's trending with the same, like Brian has the same 10 talking points that he puts on every video. He's like, oh, this is in the news what CNN's talking about today. And then says the same 10 things he says in all 5,000 videos he's made over the years. A Call for an Uprising, just hyper-focused on Masonic checkboard floors, pillars in the background, celebrities doing the 666 fingers. Like, that's all they talk about. They all just, and I think that's the definition of a limited hangout too. You know, they just like, okay, yeah, those 5 or 10 great talking points, that's true. Yeah, that is true. The over symbolism of the 666 fingers, the pillars, the Masonic floor. Got it. What else do we get to learn here? But then you see what those channels do. Then they both spend time also demonizing me and my work, which is taking things to new levels, which is real proof. And that's why neither of those two have ever predicted anything correctly. They get caught up in the psyops all the time. Well, a call for an uprising, what I will give him credit for is he doesn't get caught up in the psyops too much outside of religion. Brian gets caught up in the psyops all the time. And then he wants to close out his stream saying that people need more knowledge and truth to change the game. It's like, well, you're not doing anything to help bring more knowledge and truth in the world. You're trying to like shut the door to your followers on the person who's been doing the best job at it for over a decade. So appreciate that, Sarah Sutherland. There's the most generous donor of all time. Thank you again, Sarah. I appreciate that. And I've asked Sarah to stop donating 1,000 times because she says she does just fine. And I have no doubt about that, but Sarah's been too generous. Thank you again, Sarah. I appreciate it. Wider Niner said, is Gematria Kabbalistic magic? Yeah. I mean, isn't it obvious? Spells and spelling, curses and cursive. You know, just to think about this too, just from a simple standpoint, if somehow the words generate an energy that have influence, I've pointed this out forever. I remember when I pointed this out to Sweet Lady back in 2013, and she's like, that's got to be, she's like, I don't think that means anything. I was like, because I was theorizing on these things when I first found this. I was like, is there real sorcery in this? But you see how magic is 33, and the most written word in any document is going to be the. It's in almost every sentence. The is 33. Magic 33. Again, craft, that's another word for magic, right? In masonry, they refer to their works as the craft. Crafts 33, again, like masonry, like secrecy, like order, like federal, like Cleveland. At one point, they had Trump up 33 in the Electoral College. But yeah, anyway, I got to get back to the other work I have to do, the work that gets the financial support. That's the sports work. And the good thing about being so sharp with the sports is because, again, you can just show how perfectly connected it is to all the rigged selections. And it does wake some people up, but to date, not enough. If the vision could ever be fulfilled that we get people to use the website that I pay for every month, it's big bucks, free to find truth. If people would get on there, organized network, get out in front of their local sports stadium, do what we do, you know. Learning 5 to 10 strong talking points is an effective thing to do as a street speaker. If you got 5, 10 things down pat, and you also have the ability to answer questions when people come up to you, you can make a difference. And I was when I launched the Free to Find Truth website years ago, I was hoping that people would organize a network and get out in their cities and do just like what we do when I go in front of stadiums or out on busy blocks and city corners. Get out and do that. You know, and tell more people. If the whole nation was doing that at every sports stadium every weekend, things would change. Because everybody would be like, whoa, did you hear they're doing that at every sports stadium? It's not the Jesus freak people. It's people like dropping facts. They're talking about what happened to all our favorite players that died so young. Talking about how they rigged it again for that one guy. Did you know that I remember when we were out in front of the Cavs stadium when we went from Seattle to New York. We blew these guys' minds. Just showing them how LeBron won the finals on the real King James's birthday. They live right there in Cleveland. Didn't know that the whole time. They were like, what? I still remember Richard Quinn was out there with us, and he goes up to this group of guys all in basketball jerseys. He's like, let me tell you all the truth of 9/11. They were like this. They're like, what? Oh, the truth of 9/11? What are you talking about? I was like, Rich, look at what they're wearing. We're in front of the basketball stadium. How about LeBron and King James? And then they got all into that, and they were just mind-blowing. Again, you have to have common sense when you're talking to people. You have to talk about the right things at the right time in the right place. Once you hook them with King James, then, you know, the 9/11 holiday, or not holiday really, but, well, for the psychopaths it probably was, but it is New Year's Day, I suppose, on the Christian copy calendar. But from there, then you can take them into you know, you could take them into 9/11 maybe, but you got to get them with the right line first. You're at the sports stadium with the sports fans. Get them with LeBron King James, especially when you're in Cleveland. Have I watched Ali Carter's video on Pro Sports? I haven't. I don't know who that is either. Ali Carter, Pro Sports. Alistair Carter? Ali Carter, Pro Sports. TikTok? Is this what we're talking about here? This woman here? Is this who we're talking about? This TikToker? Maybe I need to try out TikTok again. When I first got on TikTok, I got really good views. And then I forget, I had one that had huge views, and then I never got any views again. It was like they destroyed my account. I couldn't get any views after I got the huge views. I was like, okay, it looks like I got shut down on TikTok too. One video goes viral and then you're done. Like every video had good views when I started on TikTok, and I had one that got huge views. And then after that, it was like everything had like 100 views. I can't remember how like got hundreds of thousands of views, and after that, I could only get like 100 views. Like, And then I don't even know what my TikTok login for that account is anymore. Because I was like, well, I'm not even wasting time. I'm just so sick of the censorship. Allie Carter website. She's not like related to Vince Carter or something, is she? AllieCarter.com. I don't know if this is the most wonderful crime of the year. Allie Carter. Is that? No, this is a white lady. It's a different person. It's a different white lady. I'll have to figure it out more, but I don't know who she is. The real Allie Carter on Instagram? No, that's the white lady too. Frank Lopez says it's a man. She says Tupac is her dad. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to sound arrogant, but do we need Allie Carter's information? I mean, is there anything that more needs to be proven than what we've already exposed for over a decade? It's like, when's the world going to catch up and share what we're sharing? I have a feeling that Allie Carter's information is not even going to be comparable, especially when she's making claims like Tupac's her dad. Which you just never know. Maybe it is true, but maybe she's also just after fame. Again, for over a decade, we've been showing how it's all rigged, how it's all scripted, how it's all connected together, how the games forecast what's going to happen in the elections, how the elections forecast what's going to happen in the games. Another undeniable example proven just this week with what they did with the games and this election. So, can I explain Agrippa key? That's the other name for the cipher that's Jewish gematria or Latin gematria. It's in tribute to Greek isopsephy and Hebrew gematria calculations. So. I know Donald is 119 in that cipher. I'd have to think about why we're looking up Octavian. I got to get off, though. I appreciate the donation. I'll look into the Octavian and Donald thing. I got to get off, though. Time is, I went overtime. Again, I tend to always do that. All right, you guys. Thanks again. And appreciate everyone who hits the like and the share. Thank you to everyone who subbed. If you guys do sub, make sure you stay subbed. And see, that's the thing, too. That's why it's so easy to unsubscribe people, and then people just forget about your channel because they're subscribed to 200 other channels. But just the other day, the day of the election, I just watched how my subs just dropped like 100 instantly. I was like, oh, Google just unsubbed 100 people at once. And you know what else happened on the day of the election? You would have thought the support for the work would have went up on my Patreon. It went down quite a bit the day of the election. I thought, did people really just drop off the day of the election after we were proven right for what we said for years? I mean, it doesn't really make sense. Just like how when I drove across the country, the support went down in half. It's like, really? My supporters like abandoned me for driving from Seattle to New York and pound of payment city to city? That's what I hate about this big tech social media age. It's so easy to manipulate numbers and people's financials. But yeah, it took a hit in the subs and the support the day of the election, and you would think, man, you would think that the support would have grown a bunch based on what we further exposed. You think more people want to hop on the train, help us change the world, get the word out about what's really going on. So anyway, thank you to the people who do stay subbed, who do stay supporting. Appreciate it. And appreciate that. Sub forever. All right. Unless Google unsubs you, and then you might have to come back because it's happened to a lot of people. But all right, we'll leave it there for now. Until next time, Truth Seeker.